Hello, welcome to my living room and to this arrangement of books. As you can see behind me, I have a lot of books and I thought that we could maybe go through some of them together. I'm also living in fear because I've been living in a flat surrounded by scaffolding for 2 months, but it's only today that builders have actually arrived and started doing work on our windows. Perks of living in a historic building, unfortunately. But I live in fear that they're going to come and see me playing at being a YouTuber. Oh God, one just walked past. Unfortunately, I've just realised that I've actually stacked quite a few of the books in order to make this video, and now I need them to talk about them. So let's change positions a little bit. Okay, let's talk about books. I had a bit of a reading slump over the last year after my grandma died at the start of 2020, just before the pandemic hit the UK. I wasn't really able to read anything. I think grief had a part to play in it. Except I did reread lots of times this collection by Ali Smith called Public Library. Public Library is a collection of short stories intermingled with a beautiful and poetic defence of the public library as a foundation for social development. It kind of defends the public library as a place where we can go at any time, anywhere, and just be amongst books, amongst art, amongst democracy, amongst community, and it's a place that doesn't try to enforce sort of capitalist boundaries on our lives. It's the one kind of remaining place where we can just go, and that's kind of the beauty of this. That's the beauty of this collection. But yeah, for example, Helen Oyeyemi has this to say about the network of public libraries. Public libraries were the making of me. The local library was a very practical solution to restlessness of mind, plus very minimal funds. But the amazing thing was that there were 3 libraries in one. I lived close to the smallest of those, the Deptford branch, but if I needed a book that the Deptford library didn't have, I was referred to the medium-sized library, Lewisham, which was a longer bus ride away. And if the medium-sized library didn't have the books I needed, then the biggest one definitely did, and I'd go all the way to Catford for those books. Between them, these 3 never let me down. It was like living in a triangle of protection. The public library network definitely strikes me as some sort of live and benevolent organism. How beautiful is that? And there's some poignant stuff about loss in there, and the dreams and travel. It's just a beautiful collection, and I recommend it, as I recommend all Ali Smith books, because she's a genius. After I came out of my reading slump, I finally finished this. I've had this on my list for a while. It was given to me as a gift, and I tried reading it a couple of times and I couldn't really get anything out of it, and then I persevered earlier this year and was finally able to kind of break through and get to the heart of this story. And it's a really sweet novel. It's a really sweet novel. It's a bestseller. It was originally written in French. It follows the innermost lives of 2 people living in a grand Parisian apartment. One of them is a concierge, and one of them is a small rich child. It was the rich child that I couldn't really connect with in this book. I found her to be really insufferable, snobbish, superiority complex, although maybe those were just poor traits that I was recognising that I also sometimes hold. The concierge I found much more likeable. She considers herself uneducated, but there are long passages exploring various philosophies of art and philosophies of class. There's a lot of stuff about class in here. It's a light touch, but it's still really thought-provoking, and the characters in the end did win me over, and I was really heartbroken to leave them behind by the time I finished the novel. I would recommend this. I think it's a sweet read. I have a couple of coming-of-age stories in the pile of things that I've read. One is Nervous Conditions. This book is a really famous, classic example of the African coming-of-age novel. It's a Bildungsroman following a girl who is a semi-autobiographical reflection of the author. She is growing up in Zimbabwe, as the author did, and the story kind of takes place around a really interesting period in sort of her life, where she is presented with opportunities that come from tragedies, and it sort of explores how she lives through those things. There's a lot of exploration of gender, colonialism, missionaries, whiteness. It's a really interesting novel and beautifully written, really captivating, just draws you in. I recently learned that it's part of a trilogy. The second two books came out post 2000, so this came out around 1989. And I'm looking forward to reading the second two immensely. Also, Adichie, famous for novels such as Americana. This one, Purple Hibiscus, is also a coming-of-age novel. Obviously, this is set in Nigeria. But again, a lot of stuff about religion in there, a lot of stuff about gender, about sibling relationships and familial relationships, about the changing idea of women in education, about whiteness, about power and her father. Lots of stuff, really quite hard to read at points because of some of the things that happen. But it's a stunningly written novel. It's intoxicating. It draws you in. It's a really good one. Looking forward to reading more of her work, actually, but I'm not really sure what to read next. I also read this, Tom Whyman's Infinitely Full of Hope. This was sent to me by Repeater, thank you, and it's a memoir on fatherhood and the future in an age of crisis and disaster. It's a philosophical take on becoming a father in a modern age where it's ethically questionable to sort of bring children into the world. It's very poetically written. It's really quite a nice read, and I'm looking forward to pairing it like a fine wine with Jack Underwood's new collection, A Year in the Life, which is also on fatherhood. I also read this one. It was on the Goldsmiths Prize list last year, which has left me wanting to read it since I heard DBC Pierre read an excerpt at one of the readings. This has been dubbed the most annoying book of 2020, so if you don't like to get riled up by a book, it's probably not the one for you, but I did really enjoy it. It is challenging just because the characters are not likeable. The story is quite contrived and cynical, and obviously it does a lot of trying to be clever, making commentary around the role of technology in our lives and things like that. The most notable thing about the book is that it has this formal quirk. So Pierre uses, on one side you have the narrative, and then on the other side of the page there's kind of a news feed, which is supposed to represent the character's mobile phone. So yeah, you can imagine what kind of social critique that gives us. It's quite cynical, quite hard-hearted. It's quite male, but I did enjoy. I was really moved by it, and it did make me want to throw my phone out of the window by the end. So I think that is effective. What to say about this book? This book is stunning. It's honestly perfect for me. This is exactly my cup of tea. It's queer, it's poetic, it plays with form, it's adventurous, it's serious, it's playful, it's sarcastic, it hits really hard in places. This is a memoir. It's a memoir that plays with form. It reads a little like a novel. just because of the way that it's structured. Each chapter is very short. They often play with tropes, particularly folk and fairy tale tropes. It mimics popular culture, TV shows, movies, songs, other novels. It's an incredible read. At one point, the story is a choose your own adventure. It's heart-stopping. There were points in here where I saw my own experience of queerness reflected back at me in a way that was really, I had to stop reading several times just to catch my breath. This is got to be one of my favourite books ever, probably. Yeah, it just really came to me at a time in my life when I needed it, and I loved every second, and I will be rereading it shortly. Also recently read this. I'm very, very late to the Murakami fandom. He's a great writer. Everyone says it. He's very critically acclaimed. This is one of his most famous works. It's a little bit of a Bildungsroman. It's a little bit of a life, looking back on a life lived. His writing, translated obviously, his writing feels like a dream. It's like remembering fragments rather than sort of travelling through a novel. It feels like you're coming in and out. That's the best way to describe it. Is it just feels like a wave coming in and out, and then there's clarity, and then there's blurriness, and it's really beautiful, and it touches on some beautiful themes. There's also some great sex in this book, and since I've read this, I've also read some others, and he writes about sex in a way that's really great, and in a really funny way as well. Like, he's not afraid to be silly about sex, and kind of really enjoy that. Though sex and ghosts and songs, and it's very strange but lovable book. After I read Norwegian Wood, I went and got this out of the library, and I've now renewed it 4 times. I really need to take it back, but I've just loved it so much. It's a hefty one. It's one of the newer ones from 2017, and it's great. Murakami is a master storyteller. He spins the yarn and I follow it. I absolutely loved it, and diving into this one was like diving into a deep, deep lake and just going deeper and deeper and deeper into this story and getting more and more unravelled in it. It was fantastic. I really genuinely enjoyed it. It was the thing I like most is when you start a book like this and you know it's going to be good, and you're right at the precipice of it. You're right at the beginning, and you're just thinking, oh, this is going to be so good, I can't wait to get into this. And it's all stretching out in front of you, and as you get deeper and deeper along, you just think, yeah, this is so great. I'm enjoying every second of this. It's a romp. Again, ghosts, sex, paintings that come to life, Japanese men in Nazi Germany doing espionage. It's got everything. Time, memory, history, painting, art, relationships. His work is so good. I was also sent this recently. Haven't quite dived into it as much as I'd like to. I was sent this by Bloomsbury Publishing, thank you. It's an anthology of work by new Northern writers. It was sent to me because I am Northern, and I can't wait to get into it. I love anthologies of new writing because I always discover things that I never would discover any other way. That's why I'm a big reader of periodicals like Ambit and things like that, because I just love to see people's work as it comes up fresh. Really, really looking forward to diving into that. I started this a couple of weeks ago. This is Quiet by Susan Cain. It was a bestseller a few years ago and everyone was talking about it. It's a book about introversion and extroversion. I'm introverted, I'm very sociable, but I need to be alone to recoup my energy. So I thought this book would be really good for me. I thought it would kind of validate some of the feelings that I have around introversion and things. But to be honest, the sort of mood that I get from it so far is just that she wants to shit on extroverts because she feels like she was quiet and she's annoyed that other people are loud. And so far it just feels really cynical, but I'm hoping that as I get into it, it's a little more thought out than that. I did just finish this, Graham Swift, Last Orders. Graham Swift is a brilliant storyteller. He's great at a lot of the things that Murakami is great at too: time, memory, landscape, history. I wrote on his Waterland for my master's thesis. He's great. This one is about a butcher who's died and his friends are carrying out his last wishes, and while they're doing that, it flips between multiple timelines, so we get different perspectives, different timelines, all interweaving to tell us the story of a kind of a family drama that's unraveled throughout. And again, it's like putting together a really nice, satisfying jigsaw. So at the start, you don't really know anything, and then at the end, you piece everything together and it's all kind of there laid out in front of you, and it's just really satisfying. And it name drops a lot of places near where I live, which I always enjoy. I am going to read this novelisation of the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Quentin Tarantino has written his sort of novelisation of his film. If you don't know, the film is about Sharon Tate, and if you don't know about Sharon Tate, go and look it up. It's worth seeing the film after you already know the history because, spoiler alert, Quentin Tarantino kind of rewrites history in the film, and that's why I'm really looking forward to reading the book, because I would like to see how that's novelised. Now, novelisations of films historically are not great, but we will see. We will see. Also, the way this has been designed to be like a pulp fiction is, one, very appropriate, and two, just really like fun. They've got these adverts in the back like they did in old style paperbacks. But yeah, looking forward to reading it. I also picked up in the charity shop near me a copy of this book, Lucia. Lucia is a fictionalized version of the life of James Joyce's daughter, Lucia Joyce. She was obviously the daughter of the famous writer. She was also Samuel Beckett's lover. She was a great dancer. And I don't mind the fictionalization of histories. I think that's fine. So I think I will very much enjoy this. My dad's lent me a couple of books. One is a Flannery O'Connor, Everything That Rises Must Converge. I really enjoyed Wise Blood at uni, so I think I'll really enjoy that. And also this one, Jan Potocki. I really hope that's how I say that. The manuscript found in Saragossa, translated by Ian McLean from the Polish. And apparently this is the best novel ever, according to my dad, although everything is the best novel ever at one point. So we'll see. Over the summer, I am going to read two big boys. The first one is Underworld by DeLillo. Look, this is it. I love DeLillo. I loved Point Omega. I loved White Noise. White Noise had me in absolute stitches. And I always think about, every time I go on holiday, I think about the most photographed barn in America. I just can't help it. That is such a powerful passage, and I'm really looking forward to getting into this. Apparently it's great. And then the other big one I'm going to sink into is this big old boy, Infinite Jest. This is where every postmodern lover comes to enjoy the best of this genre. A lot of people do not like this book. It's very testing, but I'm a big lover of a challenging book. I love Christine Brooke Rose, I love James Joyce, so I'm looking forward to not knowing what the fuck is going on. This is really heavy. I am worried. Okay, I hope you enjoyed some of that. I certainly did. And I'm looking forward to kind of diving into those big reads I've got scheduled for the summer and seeing how it goes. In the meantime, let me know what you're reading, or if you've read any of those books, let me know what you thought, because I don't get to chat with people that much about books, and I would love to. Yeah, if you've stuck with me through all of this, well done. You are very, very nice, and I hope that you have a great rest of your evening. Okay, take care.